Well, I finally had the opportunity to make a wall art piece larger than my actual laser machine. I was really excited when someone asked me that they wanted one that was a certain size, this one being around 55 to about 30 inches, 55 by 30 inches, I should say. And I just love it because I knew it was going to push me to try, to push the boundaries of what I've been comfortable with. So here I am, doing all the what's necessary within Lightburn to make this work. I also pushed it even further because I was using pieces of wood that I already had available in the shop that were already cut to 2 feet by 2 feet. So that meant I had to cut a few more than I actually really needed if I, had bought the plywood new, and I could have made it at least 2 foot wide. It would have saved me on a few sort of editing parts within the Lightburn, as well as a few more, less cuts to put in the machine. So, but again, it was the challenge, and I accepted it. I'm glad I did, because you'll see in the end, you'll see the full, disclosure of the piece at the end in further detail. But I think it really came out quite well. I delivered it today, actually. So, by the time this video comes out, I hope to have maybe a picture of it on that person's wall that I can show and share with you. If not, maybe down in the future, I'll put it in my social media. But here I am, of course, just trying to figure out how to get all the pieces onto this temporary backing that I made. Because usually I just take the one piece of plywood, put it in the laser, have it all cut, take the whole thing out, and then transfer it onto the backing and painting and gluing. But in this case, I'll have to take all those little sections that I cut off first, place them on a temporary backing, which is what I'm doing here, and then go back and cut some more, put them on the backing, and cut more and put it on the backing. And then I'll have the final backing that I'll be able to place all the pieces once I've, colored them, and then I can glue them on. So here I'm using the pass-through feature of my laser machine. I was really pleased to have this because it really makes my job easier for having this engraved template so that I can just place all the pieces where they belong. And I'm just making sure that it's well aligned using my alignment points and engraving it and crossing my fingers that it works, because this is actually the first time I really used the pass-through feature for this reason, where I want to do a continuous image along a longer piece. So in the end, you'll see very shortly that I actually got it all to work. In the meantime, cutting the background, the final background, using some plywood that I had as well, good 1/2 inch plywood so that it'd be good and sturdy. I know it's going to add some weight, but this plywood wasn't too heavy. 1/2 inch is not too bad. I would have otherwise used a 1/4 inch, but I think it would be a little bit too flimsy for this size of image, so I went with the 1/2 inch plywood instead. And of course, just making sure that it's cut down to where it needed to be. Approximately, I figured I'll leave a little bit of leeway in case I need to. It's easier to cut off than if I make it too short. And of course, I wanted to do the background to be black, and I usually use black paint. That was my last can of black paint. Didn't have enough, but luckily I do have black stain. So here I am going to be staining it instead, and it actually came out quite well. Really love the stain. It really soaked right into the wood and gave a really good background. I was really pleased with the outcome. So here I am, just trying to finish up this backing so I can continue on cutting more pieces and get it all finally all cut up for get ready for the staining. Okay, so I got it all engraved. It all came out pretty close. I mean, it was probably off by a millimeter or so here and there, but you can see my my alignment points there. You can see that it was off a little bit, but not enough to cause any issues with just trying to figure out where the pieces need to go approximately. It's just to help for, when I do when I color all the pieces, just so I can see the actual how it evolves, and that the colors coincide and work out as I go along. The nice thing about doing the projects this way, this kind of way of not gluing them right away to the piece and then coloring the pieces, is that if I make a mistake or a severe mistake on one of the pieces, I can just throw that one away, cut a new one, and restain it to make it work, or sand it down and restain it as long as there's enough wood on it. Yeah, there's at least some flexibility that way, because I do make mistakes and I do have to either sometimes I'll sand the piece down again. That's enough, and that's enough for me to be able to fix it. Or in other times, I'll just throw that piece out and just cut a new one. So here it is, the fun part. This is always satisfying to see as the color comes in. I always feel that I can't get this part done fast enough to see the final result. I've done it in about 3 or 4 stages, taking breaks in between. It's sometimes day breaks in between, but in the end, it'll all come together. And for all these pieces, each piece I use about at least 2, 3, 4 colors to get different tones and textures and so forth. I'm still learning as I'm going. So far, it seems to be coming out pretty good. Kind of pleased with the outcome. So I'll keep working on perfecting that process. I'm looking and thinking about some other processes because I do have a lot of time to think when I'm doing these things. I wish it was this fast in real life sometimes, but there is a sort of a zen and sort of I guess meditation zone that you get into when you're doing this kind of stuff. The coloring maybe is takes a little bit more concentration versus the gluing. The gluing is really just, making sure you don't spill the glue everywhere, but there is more of a way of sort of relaxing and thinking. And of course, this is my workspace. It's not exactly relaxed looking. I kind of mix all the colors and it gets messy, but it works in the end. And it's being a workshop, it's easy to clean up after. Now, I was thinking about, instead of engraving the black background, I would just make a paper template and glue them together, but the details were just too many. The paper was so flimsy. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I went ahead and did the engraving on the black background as well. I forgot to videotape the part where I put the pieces for the antler that sticks out. But essentially, I just used 2 pieces of 1/4 inches, cut them in the laser, and then glued them on, and made sure that they were glued on and secured on to the whole backing there as well. So here's again the satisfaction of doing the final glue up. And I use a piece of wood to just make sure that the edges are lined up. You can't really see in this fast motion here, but I do use a piece of wood there on the edges just to try and keep it aligned as best as I can. And then as necessary, I will trim up the edges of the picture. So here you got it. This is pretty much the end result, just as it has been stained. And I'm just doing some touch-ups, just a few little touch-ups, and making sure I try not to do too many at this point, but I felt that the daisies needed a little bit more white on it. So I'm just touching up the daisies. So as I mentioned, I usually try to do all of my touch-ups before I glue it down in case I mess it up. And the daisies was a specific request for this image. So, but I think they came out really cool. I like the look of it, and actually made the picture pop quite well. And here I'm showing a technique of how not to use a table saw. I kind of just free-handed it here, making sure that I don't hit the image itself. I knew that if I were to use a handheld circular saw or something else, I probably would mess it up. At least this, I had a little bit more control of making the edge. And seeing that I'm making my own frame around it, I wasn't too worried because I'd be able to hide any kind of imperfections along that edge with the framing. And because it's going to be a fairly heavy or hefty little piece, I am putting on like a French cleat at the back to be able that you can hang it up. They don't have to use this system, but it'll be there, and it'll be pretty solid. All they have to do is put those 2 pieces of wood on the wall, and then just hook up the picture like a French cleat system. Of course, I have to put a plaque engraving at the back, the name of it being Moose Among Daisies is the name that I gave it, and of course my logo and signature. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed this video and the process. I'm really, again, very happy that I was given this opportunity to stretch and expand my abilities in this field, and I hope to bring some future projects in the near future. So please stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't to this channel, Dusty Workbench, and I hope to see you here again soon. Take care.